Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me real well. If you're coming in, let me know. I am trying to make some adjustments. Last night, my audio wasn't as great on my program here, so I'm just trying to make a few little more adjustments here and come to you live tonight. So, all right then, and I'm going to see if I can't do two things at once here. So all right. Hopefully everyone can see me okay, and we get ready to do this broadcast. If you have a problem hearing me, let me know, and that way I will know what to do. All right. So here, let's try this. Okay. So I'm going to wait till somebody actually gets in here, and let me move my microphone over here. And so someone can actually get in here and hear me. And so that way I can make sure that I'm being heard. All right. So, and then that way I can adjust my output on my machine here. So we're about 1 minute into it. And so hopefully you can see what I'm doing and come on in. You have to be a subscriber to actually participate here. And so let me see if I can turn this up just a little bit and get a little more here. All right. So hopefully you're picking me up okay. I cannot tell. If someone could let me know by just sending a few hearts, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And then what I would do is check this broadcast to see if it came through okay. All right. And then if it did, I'll go ahead and release it. Now, last night, because the broadcast came out so funny and it had problems with the audio, I decided not to release it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get busy tonight. And what I'm going to do is a recap of yesterday and then go from there. Okay. So here's what we got. We're going to go back to yesterday. And this was February the 4th, 1889. Went way back there. The Fort Worth Daily Gazette announced that the famous Cuban Giants are at Jacksonville, Florida, and that they were paying for their room and board by acting as waiters at one of the big hotels. Now, what's interesting is, yeah, you had some major league teams that went down to Florida, but hey, they didn't have to work in restaurants to pay for their room and board. They had teams that would pay for their room and board. So a different story for the African American player, and they had to be not only a waiter, but then they had to come out and play baseball. And this is how they made it. And when I talked to some of the old guys, especially back in the 1980s, and these guys would tell me that during the off season, a lot of them would work as waiters, and that's how they kept their arms strong because they're carrying trays and things like that. And of course, they could pick up tips for good service. And so a lot of guys actually spent their winters being waiters and chefs. I know Joe Williams did that. Rube Foster did that. Charlie Grant did that. And so those are some of the guys going way back. But so anyway, just want to let you know that there was a difference coming along in playing in the Negro League versus playing in the American National League, where they had lots of funding. And so these guys I'm talking about from the black baseball teams, how about this? You had to really love it to play that game, right? So if somebody's joining here. Can you hear me okay? Let me know by sending some hearts. I just want to know what my audio is doing. And that is it. Just trying to get it, trying to gauge it if I can. All right. Let me see. I don't see anything in here. Okay. It's got a heart. So that means you can hear me. All right. Great. Great. Okay. So we're going to go to the next fact here. Okay. So this is February 4th, 1908. Pitcher Jack Matchett is born in Palestine, Texas. Of course, Jack Matchett played for the Kansas City Monarchs and opened the final game of the 1942 World Series. And interesting thing about that is that Satchel Paige was supposed to pitch that game, and he showed up late, got a speeding ticket in some small town, showed up late, finally got there in about fourth or fifth inning, and the Monarchs were losing at that point. Jack Matchett was kind of struggling. And so anyway, long story short, man, Page came in there and the Monarchs turned it on and they ended up winning that game and they won the World Series. And how about that? The pitcher showing up late. And you know, one thing about Satchel Paige, he was such a celebrity that he could drive his own car. And of course, you couldn't put another player with him because he was notorious for running late. So if he arrived late and he had somebody else with him, then you got two guys late. So Buck O'Neill used to have a marvelous story he used to tell about how Satchel Paige was with Satchel Paige one time. He showed up late, all right, and Satchel Paige, even though he was late, he stopped at a restaurant. Now he's already late. He stopped at a restaurant and ordered a sandwich to go. And so they went and fixed the sandwich. He's now remember he's already late, and so they fixed the sandwich. And Buck's trying to figure out what's going on. He wants to get to the game. Two guys are missing. Satchel Paige gets his sandwich, and they get in the car. They get to the game about fourth or fifth inning, and Satchel Paige, somebody asked, he says, where were you? He said, well, I had to stop and pick up a sandwich. And so he looked over at Buck. He said, if you're going to be late, always have something to show. So that was Satchel Paige. Man, a great guy, Satchel Paige. Love talking about Satchel Paige. All right. And once again, I'm trying to change some of my editing here to go ahead and talk to me. You have to subscribe, right? So, and then of course, after you subscribe, you can go ahead and chat with me. All right. So let's see. All right. Okay. So let's keep it going. And I'm hitting some things from yesterday. How about this? The Scranton, Pennsylvania is about to form a team called the Giants, and the manager will be Charles A. Norton. Now, this was February 4th, 1913. And team members included Charles Smith, who played for the Cuban Giants and the Brooklyn Royal Giants, pitcher John Manning, William Webster, William Shorts, Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan was a good ball player, excellent ball player. Played for the 1906 Philadelphia Giants, and he called a lot of games for them. And then the other guy was Leighton Price, formerly of the Cuban Giants. A lot of guys played for the Cuban Giants. I don't know how much you know about the Cuban Giants. In my estimation, there's never been a great book written about the Cuban Giants. And so I always love talking about them. And so anyway, guys, that's just a couple of things. And let me give you a couple of more. How about Ben Taylor? Ben Taylor, you probably heard of him if you follow baseball, you follow the Negro Leagues. He is a member of the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. And he also, in 1922, the spring of 1922, he operated a basketball team, Ben Taylor's Hoosier Big Five colored basketball team. And they played out of Indiana. On this date, February 4th, 1922, they were getting ready to go and play this team called the Nash Elwood team over at Elwood, Indiana, at the high school gymnasium. Of course, Taylor's team did play, and they went down in a whirlwind defeat, 48-25. And so he had to close the season off earlier that year because his brother, C.I. Taylor, died on February the 23rd. And so he was the legendary leader of the Indianapolis ABC, C.I. Taylor. Of course, he was one of the great ones. He was a member of the AME Church. I'm a member of the AME Church now, which is African Methodist Episcopal Church. So they had his funeral there at the church. And he was there were four Taylor brothers who played, and they had six brothers altogether and three sisters. I was reading the obituary and for Taylor. And of course, we know about Ben, who I just mentioned, Candy Jim, who had his birthday earlier this month. I meant to do a special on Candy Jim. I need to go back and do that. Of course, and the other brother who pitched, Johnny Stillarm. Now, we don't talk about the other brothers, the other two, but I'm starting to wonder if they played baseball as well. All right. So C.I. Taylor, one of the great ones, he passed away on February the 23rd and basically brought his brother's basketball team to a closure because Ben, at that particular point, took over the management and of the Indianapolis team in the Negro National League. All right. Hey, and if you like what's going on here, guys, go ahead and subscribe. Let me give you maybe one more, and then I'll go and just give you a few for today. So these are some that I mentioned yesterday in my broadcast that I didn't release. So here's one more that I think you might enjoy. February the 4th, 1950, Samuel Piggy Sands who over the past few years drew lots of attention as a star athlete at Sing Sing Prison, will play for the Indianapolis Clowns for the 1950 season. It was announced, of course, on February 4th, 1950. And Sam's had served 9 years at Sing Sing for robbery. I don't know what he robbed, but man, that's a long time. And he was released from Sing Sing on December 23rd, 1949. He is 6'2", weighs 197 pounds, and he's ready to go to work with the Indianapolis Clowns. Of course, you know the Indianapolis Clowns has some great players. Now, some of these guys I actually saw when I was a kid going to the ballpark, and of course, Paul Casanova came from the Clowns. John Wyatt pitched for a little bit for the Clowns. I saw John Wyatt. Man, I'm going to say that had to be maybe 69 or 70. I saw him pitch at Old Municipal Stadium in Kansas City. He had a bad outing, but he was right at the end of his career. So that was John Wyatt. And of course, you probably already know about Hank Aaron, right? He was probably the Clowns' most famous player, and that was him. So, all right then, guys. Are you still able to hear me okay? Everything going all well? Send me a couple of hearts. Just let me know. All right. So I'm just trying to figure out how this works because I usually do it from my phone. And so this is something new for me here. I don't like this camera as well. So I'm going to do something to get a better camera here on my computer. And then I will broadcast from my computer more. All right. So let's go to something from today. All right. How about this? I just talked about Hank Aaron, but guess who was put in the Hall of Fame and he's born on this day? How about that? February 5th, 1934. Hank Aaron. I just talked about him with the Indianapolis Clowns, and he was born on this day. He's a baseball Hall of Famer who I had the pleasure to meet. And matter of fact, I have a great Hank Aaron story. I remember Hank Aaron came to Kansas City, and of course, when he came around, he always had someone with him that would kind of keep the people away from him. So he was appearing here with an event he was doing with the Negro League Museum. And so I had two items that I wanted him to sign. One was from my son. I was going to give it to him for Christmas, and he was away at Fisk University. So my wife got back there and she asked Hank if he would sign this for my son. And Hank said, well, I can't sign it now, but you come back after the program tonight and I'll sign these items for you. All right. So the program went very well. Hank did his thing. And then at the end of the night, we went back to talk to Hank. And remember, he had this handler there. So the handler is there saying, well, he's not going to see anybody. And I said, well, Hank Aaron, he said, if we could come back after the show. And so Hank overheard us talking to him. He said, hey, I told them to come back. They're okay. And he let us come back and he signed that for my son. And my son has it today. I may show that picture. He signed two things for us that day. Of course, Hank Aaron, the legendary Hank Aaron. So happy I had a chance to meet him. And this guy I'm talking about also, who was, he died on this day. I didn't have a chance to meet him, but I did meet his brother. And so that was February 5th, 1981. Paul Jake Stevens, a former Hilldale and Homestead Gray shortstop, passed away in York, Pennsylvania. Have you ever heard of him? Jake Stevens? Man, Jake Stevens had a brother named John. And I went to York, Pennsylvania. I want to say it was like about 1989. I was there through the library. And so they had me there for about 4 or 5 days. So I remember I called Leon Day and I said, hey, Leon, would you be willing to come down to York? Because he was up in Baltimore. And Leon said, yeah, I'll drive down. So Leon drove down and I got him some money too for coming down. And so they paid him for coming down there. And he was with me for about 3 days. And we talked a lot of baseball. Leon Day had some great stories as well. Talked a lot of baseball and did a lot of presentations that week. And I remember at the end of the week, Leon said, I've been here all week. I haven't had to spend a dime. He said, let me buy you a drink. And so Leon bought me a drink. We were sitting at the bar at the Yorktown Hotel, which is the hotel where Jake Stevens used to work. He retired from there. And so we had a drink. And so I said, hey, Leon, since you're paying for the drink, I can at least have you autograph the napkin from this bar that we were in. So I I have a napkin that he autographed from the bar, and that was in 19. I want to say it was 92, I believe. It could have been nine. No, that was 1990 when that happened. And so Leon Day was there, and of course, when I'm in there in York, I had the time to visit. So I went to the library and did some research. And then I went over to John Stevens' house, and that was Jake's brother. And John had played baseball with the Indianapolis ABCs. And he was a pitcher. He had a beautiful picture photograph of the ABCs that has not surfaced so far. And it was just a beautiful picture. And he was on the picture. And I had a chance to talk to him. Interesting thing, he had really bad hearing. So I almost had to like yell everything that I was saying to Mr. Stevens. I do remember that. So, but these are stories that I have that no one has because I was out on the road and I would go places and people would bring me in to talk about the Negro Leagues. And I would just go all across the country. And once my book came out, the Negro Baseball Leagues of Photographic History, I really went across the country. And so, yeah, if you go check the old York newspapers from York, Pennsylvania, I'm sure you'll find an article when I was there in the 1990s, right? So it was a great time, and man, just fond memories that I have. So that's all I want to say tonight. Once again, I'm testing this medium here to see how it looks and how it sounds. So you guys say you can hear me really well, so that's great. And so when I sign off, I'm gonna listen to it and go from there. And if I like it, I will stay with this as long as I can, and maybe retire my phone for a little bit, maybe do a few lives. But I do want to thank you for joining. If you like what I'm doing here, guys, by all means, go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to figure out all of this because I can't really see your chats as well as I normally can on my telephone, right? So anyway, that kind of does it for me tonight. I'm going to be appearing somewhere on Sunday, and so I will come back and talk about that a little bit, and that should be awesome. It's always great to go out and talk to fans and do a presentation. Now, my presentations are nothing like what I'm doing here. So when I'm there, I'm liable to, I'm not liable. I usually do bring my trumpet along and I will play Take Me Out to the Ball Game. If you want to hear how I can play, just go back and scroll through some of my old broadcasts there and you'll see me playing Take Me Out to the Ball Game at different events over the last couple of years. I've been places and played the Star Spangled Banner on many occasions. So I get that kind of kick. And then also I open up with a lot of poetry, but I'm going to give you facts about baseball teams coming to your area. It's a unique presentation, and I tell stories and I try to entertain people because they don't have to come to my presentation. They could have been sitting at home, but when you come to a Phil Dixon presentation, I want you to know that you're going to have a great time, and that's it. So anyway, that's going to be it for me tonight. I want to thank you for joining. This is a short broadcast, and I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to test this medium, and let's see what we have. And if it's good, I will be back on this medium tomorrow. All right. Thank you, guys. And once I figure out how to get in the stream, okay, here we go, in the stream. All right, so I think I got it. Okay, take it. Have a nice evening. And remember, this has been a double dose of this day in Black baseball history. And don't forget, this is Black History Month. Go out and celebrate.